Okay, so today we are going to continue with the the portion that we have left in the last class. That was uh, object detection in images. Okay, I'll share my screen. So what we have discussed in the last class is we had discussed with the multi-class classification. We had discussed with how to identify the landmarks in the images and how to identify the bounding box around image. So to identify bounding box, what do we require? We require the midpoint of that object and we require the height and width of that object. Right? So let me. So this is suppose we want to classify. Sorry. So suppose we want to classify three classes, that is car, bus and bike. Three classes were there. So what we will do for this multi-class classification, we had added at that time we had added C4, that is another class which is a background class, which means neither of these classes are present in the image or the object that we want to identify, or the portion in the portion that we want to apply for classification. Okay, so we what we have seen was we had four classes and C1, C2, C3, C4 variable are for whether that class is present or not. Now if C1 is present, that is car is present, what it will output? It will output C1x, C1y, that is x and y, that is midpoint of that car object, and height and width. So this is height and width of this object. Okay, so if I have the midpoint and height and width of the object, I can easily identify that where my object is. Okay, so this is the output in the target output we would be having. So for if similarly if C2 is present, that is if the object is bus, in that case C2 would be 1 and rest all would be zeros, and the output of C2x, C2y, C2h height and C2 width will give me the bounding box for the object C2. Similarly, C3 for C3 and C4. Now, if C4 is 1, C4 is 1 means neither of C1 is not present, C2 is not present, C3 is not present, and only background is present. Okay, so in that case, we don't require a bounding box, so we don't have such outputs. So how many parameters were there? 13. So if I add this 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 1, so this is 13. So in last class we have seen 13, but we have forgotten to add these three parameters. These three are also there. Okay, so just check 13 plus 3. So total number of parameters over here would be 16. So in last class we have discussed there were 13 parameters. We have not, because we have added this 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 1. We have forgotten to add these three. The total number of parameters would be 16 over here, right? Okay. So this is multi-class classification. Now, in general case, we don't use all these 16 parameters. What do we do is, instead of making use of all these parameters, output target variable. What do we output is, we just output only one of these bounding box, because, so let me, okay, so actually in multi-class, what happens is, I have C1, C2, C3 and C4. Four classes I have. So instead of outputting bounding box for each and every C1 and for C2 and for C3, what do we do is we output only one bounding box, that is Bx, By and its height and its width. Why? Because what happens is, suppose if a car is present, so rest all would be zeros. So anyway, there would be only one bounding box. Similarly, if suppose this is 0, so this would be 1. So in that case also, it can output in the same, same variable. So in any case, there would be only one bounding box. So instead of taking all the 16 parameters, what do we, in general, what do we have is, we have C1, C2, C3 and C4 and BX, BY, BH and BW. So if this is the 1, in that case, this bounding box represents the bounding box for car. If this is 0 and this is 1, in that case, these values represents bounding box for this C2. So this is just reducing the number of output target neurons from 16 to, now we have 8. So it would be 9 basically, because there is one more parameter that we have discussed in last class, let's say P, so which decides whether object is present or not. So this whole output would be there if object is present. If it says yes, in that case all these will return something. If P is equals to N, if P is equals to, that is, so if P was P was Y, if this P variable was yes, that is let's say 1. So in that case, it will return all these values. If P is no, that is 0. In that case, all these C1, C2, C3, C4 and BX, BY, BH, BW values of these doesn't matter. So it is also called as don't care, because we don't require, because if there is no object, in that case we don't require these. So total number of parameters is reduced from 16 to 9. Sorry, parameters, not parameters, it is a output label that we want to identify, that output label representing the object.
So, ma'am,
Yes, yes.
the P value isn't it acting like C4 only? Like C4 is background, no object is present, so we don't need C4 too, right?
Right, right. So we don't need this P. So it would be 8. I am not sure still, but C4 represents background. Mm. But if we have 8, I think it should done. It should be done. We don't need this P in that case, because C4 is representing that background itself. Okay, fine. So this is from 16 to 8, I think. Still, I'm not sure. Okay, but I think it should work fine for 8. Okay, so yes, okay. So this was our multi-class classification problem. Just check whether we require this or not. Okay, so next is what we are going to discuss today is we have seen the landmark. So let's say we are identifying the face detection. So for detecting a face, so we have so many points. Okay, so in a face we have eyes, we have something, something and something. Okay, so suppose this point, what I want to do is, suppose I, for classifying this image, I need certain positions in my face. So this is my left corner of the eye, right corner, left corner of the right eye, right corner of the right eye. Then I have certain points. I would require certain points in the jawline, and then I would require certain points in ears. Position of ear maybe like this, like this, like this. Okay, so this would basically, so these are all the points. So if this is landmark, I can say this is a landmarks LX and LY. So this is first landmark. Then this point I can say this is my second landmark. Okay, L2Y, and then and so on. So if my face, if I'm easily classifying my face with, let's say, 64 landmarks, uh, with 64 landmarks, if I am able to classify my face, so I would say, okay, so 64 landmarks is required to classify a face. So total number of parameters in this case would be 128 uh, uh, for x and y point, and plus 1 whether face is present or not. So total 129 parameters would be there, and not parameters again, sorry, 129 output labels. So my input of the convolution neural network, or whatever neural network that we have, it can be any network. So input would be set of images, and output class would be having 129 neurons. Okay, and this would be my output. So in this way we do face detection. So face detection is basically the advanced version of landmark detection. Besides this, there are so many other algorithms for this, already built in algorithms, so we are not getting into much detail. One thing that, for example, suppose in a image multiple objects are there. So uh, let's say this is one object. I will denote this as a, let's say this is one car, and then we have another car of dissimilar size. So size is smaller, and then we have another car of a bigger size. Now, the uh, how to identify all the objects from such image? So what do we do in such a case is, first thing that we do is we train for individual cropped images. Okay, we train our model for the individual cropped images consisting of all these sizes. So we if we want to predict something, we should be having our model should be having trained on such things. Okay, so basically what do we do is we crop this image, and we identify boundaries for each of these, and we train our model. So we now know that we have, this is also a car, this is also a car, and this is also a car. So we train our model for these uh, uh, all the types of cars, and now we have some model 1. Okay, we have already built this model, and we have trained this model for all of these cars. Now, what do we do at the time of classification? How do we, in case of CNN, what is the procedure? In case of CNN, generally what do we do is we pass our filter at some position, and then we slide our filter, and we slide our filter. This is the basic idea in that we follow in a CNN, right? So this is also called sliding sliding window algorithm. So in this case, suppose we have already done the training for this, all the types of objects that we have in the images. Now what do we do is, second step is, at the time of training, at the time of testing, at the time of testing, what do we require to do is we have to put our filter at this position, and then this is my first position, and then for the second position I will move my filter slightly to the right. Then for my third position I will again move my filter slightly to the right, and so on. So for all the positions, so what is the guarantee that if suppose my filter size was this, so it may not classify that this whole object, because it has trained on this subset part, it has not trained on the whole image plus subset part, right? And similarly, suppose my filter size was this much and it is over here, so it will not classify the object. So what is done is, this process is repeated for all the filter sizes. So first they take a small filter size of 2x2 and pass it over all the image, over all the positions in the image, and extract the objects. Then they take a filter size of 3x3 and pass the 3x3 filter for all the locations in the object. So it will identify a little bigger size cars, and then it will repeat the process for a 4 cross 4 filter. It will take a 4 cross 4 filter and it will change the position, and it will slide the 4 cross 4 filter for all the locations, and it will find out the object from the images. So this process is extremely, you can see there are so many calculations, but what happens to reduce because what you are doing is you are convoluting your 2 cross 2 filter with all the positions, then you are repeating the same process for 3 cross 3, repeating the same process for 4 cross 4. Now suppose this image size was 1000 cross 1000. So you cannot do for all the 1000 cross 1000 up to 2 cross 2 to 1000 cross 1000 filter. You cannot do that. Suppose it is consisting of only one car, one bigger car. So you cannot. So it's a very time taking process. So generally we don't use the sliding filter algorithm, but it is the simplest algorithm. It is the basic algorithm to identify the number of objects in the image. So what do we do if practically if we are implementing sliding window? So first thing that we do is increasing the stride. Increasing stride. So what is a stride? I will write it on another page. So to make it more efficient, we increase the stride. Increase stride means suppose it was a 2 cross 2 filter. So and we have this image. So now if stride was 1, it will move from here to here. But if stride was 2, it will move from here to directly here. So there are less number of computations. To reduce number of computations, we increase stride. But if we increase stride, there is no guarantee. Suppose the car was present in this location, so that car will not be detected. So it will increasing stride will make it more faster, make the algorithm run faster, but it will not be as good. It may not detect all the objects present in the image. So this is the disadvantage. So this is the overall idea behind identifying multiple objects in the image. So I think this is because now your unit 2 is completed. In this you have multiple algorithms, like you have YOLO algorithm, you have so many other algorithms that you can read through, but we are not studying them in much detail.
Ma'am, please show the previous slide.
Yes. Okay.
Sliding.
Yes.
Ma'am, please explain what you did in this. Like we are sliding different images to like make the process more faster and efficient, or like what we were doing in this. I couldn't
We
understand this.
we were identifying multiple images in the object. Our goal is to identify multiple images in the object, and all the objects are of different sizes. But our filter is having fixed size. So from a fixed size filter, how can we identify the object which is having multiple object of multiple sizes? Suppose if my filter was 2 cross 2, okay, filter was 2 cross 2, and the object in my image was 3 cross 3, or object size was 3 cross 3. This is so if I slide 2 cross 2, anyway it will not cover the whole object, okay, right? It will not cover, this 2 cross 2 filter will cover the whole object or not?
No, ma'am. So
It will,
no, ma'am.
it will, right, it will not cover, है ना? So the idea is to change the filter size from 2 cross 2 to 3 cross 3 cross 3. We'll run this 3 cross 3 again to whole image. Then we'll run 4 cross 4 to the whole image. And then, so if the object was 3 cross 3, so that in that case, it will identify the object. Okay. So idea is if my image is having let's say one object is of 5 cross 5, one object is of 3 cross 3, one object is of 2 cross 2 size. So in that case, we have to because in general scenarios in a real world we have multiple objects and size of each and every object is different. So we want to identify maximum number of objects from the image, basically all the objects in the image we want to classify from our algorithm. Okay, for that we have to change our filter size according to size of objects. Now we don't know the size of the object, so we have to run our algorithm for all the filter sizes possible, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now it's clear.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, show slide once more. From that sliding window mechanism.
This one.
Yes.
Ma'am, what did you say that we do when the image is, let's say, 1,000 and 1,000? So we can't exactly increment by, 1 into 1 by each sliding window. So what exactly do we do in that situation?
Yes, so we cannot put we cannot do that that we apply 2 cross 2 filter, we apply 3 cross 3 filter, we apply 4 cross 4, we apply 999 cross 999 filter, and then we cannot apply 1000 cross 1000 filter. Why? Because it's so much time consuming, you know. So we cannot do that. So in that case, what do we do is we take some random filter sizes. Let's say we take 3 cross 3, and we if we are taking 3 cross 3, we add a stride of, let's say, s is equals to 3. So in that case, instead of moving 3 cross 3 over whole over all the positions, it will jump few positions to the next. So that is what is
Okay.
discussed. So we
So
are
in,
basically,
in case the image size is small, then it's feasible to do all the computations, right? Or do we still follow this procedure?
sorry, in case of,
In case the image size is small, let's say 100 into 100 maybe.
mhm.
So do we still follow this procedure, or do we, increase the stride? So my point is that does it give a better accuracy if we go through the entire image?
Yes, this sliding window gives good accuracy because we are considering all the possible options. We are considering for a small image size, I'm saying. Suppose if image size was 100 cross 100, so in that case, it's feasible. It's okay that we change the filter from 2 cross 2 to 3 cross 3 to 4 cross 4 to up to 100 cross 100. We can do that because it's not because these days we have good computation capabilities and it's not much computation anyway. ठीक है. So
Okay.
for a small image size, this sliding window is very good because it's giving you all the possible object combination without striding. Striding is required when we have large image size, and in that case it's not feasible to slide our filter to all the positions in the image. So in that case we can skip few of them and then we can say okay, fine, now model will learn something.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Madam,
Okay.
in this,
Yes.
how can we reach the striding value, ma'am? Means, is there any relation between filter size and skip number of steps to skip?
No. In this skipping is basically decided by the striding value. So if striding is 3, this means it will skip 2 pixels and move my filter to the next pixel, right?
Yes, ma'am. But how to decide that value, ma'am? Means, do we fix the value initially, or
Yes, we have no algorithm or nothing like that in deep learning that anything is fixed. We have to just retrain it and learn it by ourselves. For all the parameters, everything, number of layers, number of striding value, padding value, all the things we have to, work through it and we have to retrain our model, test it.
yes, ma'am?
Okay. Okay. So I hope it's clear. Any other questions? So our unit 2 is done today. I'll only one topic is left, I guess, that is SVD, and that is remaining from so long time.